BuzzFeed News is dead. Not a day too soon, mind you, but still a glorious occasion to be celebrated by one and all across the earth. As finally, at long last, BuzzFeed News will rot in the deepest, darkest crevices of Beelzebub's fat flaps, where it has always belonged, as almost more so than any other publication. BuzzFeed News is... No. No. Excuse me. Was the personification of everything wrong with current year culture. Always online woke as garbage. It was the personification of the cancerous awfulness that has been cursing our society for the last 10 years. A literal news organization, heavy quotation marks implied, intended to get its news from social media alone. It is difficult to imagine something worse than that. And hey, on the bright side, the market did finally realize this, and despite several attempts to reinvest, refinance, cut down previous waves of firings, sales of properties, etc., anything in their power to keep the garbage flowing, it has finally all failed, as BuzzFeed News is not only dead, but BuzzFeed, the overall company's stock, also plunges by over 20% as media company shuts down BuzzFeed News and cuts 15% of all of their jobs. The total workforce, Yito Delito. And those scattered, helpful few survivors of the massacre, well, they might be given a refuge in some of the other soon-to-close websites of BuzzFeed. As well, with a stock crash that hard, it's going to be awfully difficult to keep the other non-profitable sites operating for very long either. And, my God. This is perhaps the silver lining that every cloud has. We might be seeing indeed the end of our golden age. In fact, it is probably already over, but at the very least it will mean that the endless stream of investment money that has kept such thoroughly terrible things alive is now coming to an end. As BuzzFeed News apparently hasn't been profitable for a very, very long time, and I wonder why. With such hard-hitting journalism as, which TikTok baby are you? Oh yes. I can't possibly see how this wasn't more successful. Or one of my personal favorites, what does Mario's penis look like? Somebody was paid probably $100 plus an hour to sit by a laptop with an overpriced coffee to write this shit. I guarantee you, this thing here, with the stupid little reaction pictures and the text, etc., this probably cost BuzzFeed News a couple $100 to have produced. And of course, this is just the stupid shit. This is just idiotic clickbait. And hey, you know what? Idiotic clickbait is fair enough. It's been a tradition of YouTube since as long as YouTube has been around, frankly. Hell, one of the first videos is literally, here I am with the elephant. There's a long and proud tradition of this nonsense, but BuzzFeed was so much worse. Like, for example, 20 reasons why white people can't be trusted. I feel like I should point out what might happen to somebody who wrote an article where you exchange the word white with black, but is that not a point that has been belabored to death multiple times already? And, of course, if this was a one-off, alright, more clickbait. But no, there is an entire section dedicated to the topic of white people. when I say that BuzzFeed News was the personification, the actual, like, avatar of everything wrong in the last decade, I wasn't joking. And we will be so much better off without BuzzFeed. We will be blessed most thoroughly once the entire company, not just the news division, finally goes under and bubbly sinks beneath the sea, never ever to be seen again. And one of the funniest things too is, in the little farewell letter that the boss man wrote, including the letting go, quote-unquote, of several of the head honchos, was also the idea that they're going to be using more AI tools in their sales and marketing departments. Ooh, AI tools, eh? I wonder, what if we go to, say, for example, the big one, ChatGPT, right? And perhaps we will receive a bit of a tip as to why BuzzFeed news journalism isn't really doing so hot. For example, write me an article about Elon Musk in the style of BuzzFeed. And there we go. ChatGPT has immediately, within literal, actual, genuine seconds, made every single reporter who works at BuzzFeed News, or any of their other publications, absolutely and completely worthless. Hey, I shouldn't be laughing too loudly, because very soon this kind of garbage will probably start replacing people like me as well. But at least I have to think for about 2 seconds when I make a law video, rather than this, which, there we go. There we go, we even have a full-on little top 10 list and everything. And this, there you go. You can get an upvote for that. That's very well done, ChatGPT. You have taken away several journalists' ability to feed themselves. And personally, I could not be happier. Now, bear in mind, this is not the end just yet. As BuzzFeed, well, it's still going to be around for a while. This kind of absolute awful is still going to be around for a while. In fact, apparently, HuffPost is still profitable, with what was mentioned as, quote, a loyal front page readership. Which almost makes me think that the only reason why it's profitable is because too many YouTubers trawling through it for idiotic headlines forget to turn on their ad blocker. That would be kind of a hilarious reason. Why do you get so many clicks? Well, every single YouTube commentator checks our site out every single day. Because we post the stupidest shit outside of The Onion and Babylon Bee. But it would be a reasonable explanation at the very least. Now, these companies will also, of course, try their best to stay alive. Evil never dies easily, after all, and they've already been selling off a lot of their properties. The farewell letter, for example, mentioned that BuzzFeed News once had 4 office locations, and they sold 3 of them, leaving them with but 1, because, you know, reading social media is a taxing endeavor, and you need a air-cooled office to do it with, you know, the full gusto that you can truly manage. They also fired a bunch of their 800-man newsroom preceding this, so even with that, they still couldn't actually make it go around. But at the end of the day, if they actually managed to cut away enough fat, they could subsist for decades, years on the money that they've probably still got left from all of the investor money that they already have. And hey, at some point, surely even a journalist will be able to make enough stuff to feed himself, assuming you cut their salary enough. But what will probably happen is that these larger publications like BuzzFeed will eventually transition entirely over to an online thing a la YouTube. Those who have the money and the capital to do so will probably create their own online video sharing sites or subscription services. You know how like every single article these days there's a nice big fat box at the bottom saying, hey, give us money, please, or subscribe, or you need to subscribe to read this article, etc, etc. It's because all of them are running out of money, and all of them have been running out of money, probably for half a decade plus. But again, during our golden age, money, it just wasn't an issue. It was literally growing on trees, apparently. It was being given away by the million, out of hand, with seeming no expectation to ever get it back. And now that it's finally dried up near completely, a lot of these sites are simply going to start disappearing. It has taken a lot longer than many anticipated, to be fair, it really has, but garbage will be garbage, and its fate will eventually be to be collected and hopefully, God willing, burned in tremendous agony. For now, we can mark this down as a very good day in our calendars. Which might be a problem considering all other certain contexts, but hey, details. Until next time, I have been Arch. Thank you all very much for watching, and I hope to see you all again soon with more happy news of deceased media companies. Have a good day.